let this be.
Welcome to another episode. Welcome to another episode of Gamecocks Talk with Captain Will. I am your man, Captain Will. Make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe to Gamecocks Talk with Captain Will so I continue to bring you that gospel of Gamecocks every single day. Follow me on Twitter at Gamecocks Talk. You can follow me on Instagram at Gamecocks Talk with Captain Will. And wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it, you can find Gamecocks Talk with Captain Will. You're not rocking with the best. There are a whole lot of podcasts out there, and you have your choice of choosing whatever podcast you want to listen to. And I thank you for tuning in to mine. But there's only one Captain Will. There's only one Captain Will. So if you're new to this, Will are different. But there's only one Captain Will. And since you're rocking with the best, come rock with your man, Captain Will. We got to go with today, y'all. We are talking about where does the South Carolina Gamecock women's basketball program stand after 12 games? Where does the three-time national champions stand after 12 games? The ladies are on Christmas break. We don't play another game for another week. It's Christmas time. It's time to spend time with family, spend time with loved ones and some ones you don't love. But it's this time of the season. It's people taking off work and getting their PTO done and all that other stuff. South Carolina women's basketball team goes to the Christmas break, number one in net ranking, number one in strength of schedule. South Carolina, despite one loss to UCLA, is playing very good basketball. Okay. We're 12th in offensive rating. We're 26th in defensive rating. Those stats in itself, along with the stat of playing the number one strength of schedule in women's college basketball, to me means that we are the best program bouncing a basketball in college women's sports. That's what it means to me. Strength of schedule should matter, right? It should matter some. It should matter if you play actual real competition. For those of you who watch college football, and South Carolina football plays on New Year's Eve. Should have been playing in the playoffs, I must say, but playing on New Year's Eve. And you had a team like, over the weekend, you had a team like SMU who played Penn State. SMU didn't have no business being in the playoffs. I just have to say that right now. And Penn State beat them like they stole something. Okay? Clemson, whom South Carolina beat, made the playoffs and lost by 2 touchdowns against Texas. Could have been more. Notre Dame boat raced Indiana. Shouldn't have been there. You just have so many instances of schedules actually mattering. The games that South Carolina has played early in this season will only enhance Carolina in the conference, in the conference tournament, and in the NCAA tournament. It's only going to help because we played a North Carolina State, we played a Michigan, a UCLA, a Iowa State, a Duke. It's only going to help. It's not going to deter. It's really not. When we was playing that gauntlet of games, and a lot of those games is either neutral site games or they were, away games, it gives you that big tournament feel. It makes you're like, okay, the tournament atmosphere is already here. Carolina having a 12th ranked offense and offensive rating in the country, despite starting slow in multiple games this season, still figuring it out during the non-conference. The first few games were interesting. The rotations was questionable at times, but Dawn does what Dawn does. She figures it out. And South Carolina figured it out once again. 11-1, number one in net ranking. Again, I tell you, for the folks who follow me and the new folks who will be following me, do not pay attention to that AP poll. Don't be concerned about no AP poll. The AP poll is so whack. It is so ungood. It's just not. Don't follow that. If you want to get a clear cut of what a team is actually ranked, to get a total picture of a basketball team, you have to look at the net ranking. Therefore, that's the only thing I talk about is the net ranking. It matters if you play a team home or away. It matters the scoring margin. It matters the strength of schedule. All those things matters. It matters now in the quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you beating a whole bunch of teams in quadrant 3 or 4, which are or mid to lower tier teams, that's not showing that you are a good basketball team. That's showing that you are beating inferior competition. Those things matter. Offensive rebounding for the South Carolina Gamecocks, and I always got to say this with a caveat because it seems like every time there's a South Carolina Gamecock game on the three-time national champions, they always say, oh, Camila Cardozo is not there in the post anymore. I don't recall every game after we lost 5 starters, and of those 5 starters, multiple starters being drafted into the W, where we mention or they mention every time Aaliyah Boston is not in the basketball game. Bree Bill's not in the basketball game. Letitia and me here not in the basketball game. Zaya Cook not in the basketball game. South Carolina's 9th in offensive rebounding percentage. Not in offensive rebounds, but in offensive rebounding percentage. And I say rebounding percentage because of the shots that we actually, take at the basket. 44% of them is a rebound for South Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, that's really good because on average, I'll give you an example. South Carolina is 9th in offensive rebounding percentage, but is 96th in defensive rebounding percentage. Like, wow, Carolina's not rebounding the ball defensively well. Well, we don't miss as many. It's a weird stat because it's 71.4% on the defensive rebounding percentage. Is that a lot of times, sometimes, and we've seen it in a few games this season. You have certain teams, South Florida in particular, will sneak in because they're smaller players and get these offensive rebounds when we should have snatched them down, been a defensive rebound and running a break. But regardless of that fact, back to offensive rebounding percentage, we're at 44% in terms of offensive rebounding percentage for the South Carolina Gamecocks. So if we shoot the ball, there's a 44% chance that we are going to get that offensive rebounding. Typically, your defensive rebounding is much higher than your offensive rebounding percentage. But Carolina is creeping towards 50%. That is a lot of attempts at the basket. Second chance opportunities. Many opportunities for Chloe to get the ball in the basket. Many opportunities for Ashlyn Watkins to get in the basket. Many opportunities for Joyce Edwards, who's been playing great basketball over the last 2 games, who have set her career high in back-to-back games. I don't know what's in store for her next week versus Wofford. I assume the same thing of continued play and finishing at the basket and rebounding the ball and getting multiple steals. That's Joyce Edwards. Total rebound percentage, South Carolina is 13th in the country. Okay. This is without Camila Cardozo, right? But it's also without players playing 35, 33 minutes per game. Because Chloe Kitt's only averaging, 19 minutes a game? 20 minutes a game? Ashlyn Watkins averaging about 20 minutes per basketball game. Joyce Edwards is averaging about 21 minutes per basketball game. So you don't have those players that's stacking individual numbers and making it look more than what it is by having the same player or they quote unquote star players getting the bulk of the stats. We sometimes I laugh when I listen to the commentary on when Carolina's playing, especially when it's the B team or the C team playing, calling the game. I'm like, sorry. It just burns my ears sometimes. Like, okay, you have the paper in front of you, just read the paper. Because I know they cover a lot of games. So I know they don't know the intricacies of a South Carolina basketball team or the opponent, but you have a few days to study. That's all I'm saying. So go a little deeper when you discuss in the three-time national champions and talk about what we don't know. Make it feel like we are learning something. Because if you make it not feel like we are learning something, you get boring. You do. Steal percentage. South Carolina's steal percentage is 26 in the country at 16%. I would like to say that we don't have a player on this basketball team who will make the headlines like a Mama or Hannah Hidalgo, who get all these steals and 3, 4, 5 steals per basketball game, although Raven Johnson did get 4 steals in the previous game versus Charleston Southern. I will say this, that we have multiple players that get steals on this team in the perimeter and in the post. So we have a Raven who's averaging about 2 steals a game. We have a Powell who's averaging a little over 1 steal per game. We have in the MiLaysia Fulwiley, average close to 2 steals a game. Maddy's doing well. In the post, you have Joyce Edwards is averaging 2 steals per game. Watkins, 2 steals per game. It's a lot of different players who are snatching them chains off and stealing the basketball. Blocks percentage. South Carolina's 15th in the nation in terms of block percentage at 10%. 10% of the shots that goes up by opponents are blocked by Carolina player. Last time I checked, Ashlyn Watkins was 5th in the SEC in blocks per game and total blocks in the SEC. That's what missing 1 game too. Okay. And only playing 20 minutes per game. But I digress. Field goal percentage for South Carolina is creeping up to what I want it to be. Currently, we're 34th in the country at 47%. I want over 50% shooting from the field. 65th in 2-point percentage. I want that to continue to go up. That's 51%. Some of those are those missed layups that sometimes we just do not finish. We're 50th right now, 3-point percentage, averaging about 35.2% from 3. Last season, we was at 39.5%. We have Tina Pow who's shooting 44%. Tessa has been a little off over the last couple of games, still shooting about 40% from 3. Raven Johnson over the last 5 games shooting 44% from 3. Fewest turnovers per basketball game. South Carolina's 11th in the country, averaging 11.9 turnovers per game. My goal always for this basketball team is to finish in the top 7 in terms of fewest turnovers per game. Because that, if you do not commit a whole bunch of turnovers, that give you more opportunities to score the basketball. And when you have a defense like South Carolina, which is 26 right now in terms of defensive rating, and only going to get better over the course of the season, and field goal percentage at 32nd and 36%. Few turnovers lead to less fast break opportunities. And I'll always like the assist to turnover ratio. Carolina is 14th in the country, assist to turnover ratio at 1.33 to 1. You have some solid basketball teams that get some crazy amount of assists, playing that quick, fast-paced basketball. Tennessee in particular, who is scoring a ton of points. They ain't playing a lick of defense right now, but they are scoring a ton of points. when we get down to SEC play, we will see how good Tennessee is when teams prevent you from shooting 43s in a game. You got to play some defense, Tennessee. We're going to see y'all in SEC play once, maybe twice this year. It's cool. South Carolina has 3 players that stand out for me over the past 12 games. The first player is Ashlyn Watkins. And I start off with Ashlyn Watkins because of the turmoil that went on during the summer, the suspension, the arrest, just all those stuff things that went over the summer and fall, missing a game, working her way into the lineup and just stuff. But Ashlyn Watkins is playing some really good basketball. She's averaging about 20 minutes per basketball game. She's averaging 8 points, 52% from the field, averaging 63% from the free throw line. So people will scoff at 63% from the free throw line for Ashlyn is not good. Well, as a freshman, she averaged 40-some%. I think it was 42%. As a sophomore, she averaged like 50-some%. Well, now we're up to 63% from the free throw line. So she's getting better and better at the free throw line. She still gets 6 rebounds per game, 1 assist, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 1 turnover. Her defensive rating is 71.6. Her offensive rating is 123.4. Ashlyn Watkins is playing outstanding basketball. She's averaging 1 turnover, ladies and gentlemen. She's averaging about 1.3 fouls per game. Oh, yeah. Those are some really good numbers for one Ashlyn Watkins. And I do dig deeper on a discussion about Ashlyn Watkins, later in the week to highlight some of the special things that she's done over the first 12 games. But the second player was playing great basketball, because I can go down the list, but I'm just going to do my 1, 2s, and 3s. And number 2 is Chloe Kitts. Chloe Kitts is the best rebounder on this team. 6'2" from Florida, has offensive rating of 121.5 and a defensive rating of 74.2. She's averaging 20 minutes per game. She's averaging about 10, 11 points per game. She's at 52% from the field, shooting 84% from the free throw line. Chloe Kitts, 8 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 assist, 2 turnovers. Chloe Kitts has improved more than any basketball player on this team. Chloe Kitts and Sania Feagin. When the growth, the working out during the summer on their bodies, working on their game, and they have shown that hard work does not get unnoticed. We talk a lot about the perimeter players on the South Carolina basketball team, but 2 of our best players on this team are post players. And then I could say, because Tahina Papau is the 3rd player that I'm going to talk about, but the 4th player that I would talk about would be Joyce Edwards. Okay? That would be 3 post players out of 4 who are straight up balling this season. So, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have a Kamilla Cardozo on this team, but we have an Ashlyn Watkins, we have a Chloe Kitts, and we have a Joyce Edwards who are straight up lighting up right now. But in terms of Tina Papa, will be a first-round pick in the WNBA draft in the spring. She's leading the team in minutes at 306 minutes per game. That equates to 26 minutes per basketball game. 11 points, shooting 49% from the field, shooting 43% from 3, 2 rebounds, almost 2.5 assists, only 1 turnover and 1 steal. Her offensive rating is 85.5, which is the lowest in her basketball career, and a defensive rate 85.4 is her defensive rating, and 129 is her offensive rating. That 85.4 is the lowest in her college basketball career. Tina Papau has made it a bullet point to be better at defense, and it is shown over the course of the season. She is a game changer in the perimeter. In South Carolina, through 12 basketball games, are sitting at a very good situation as we go one game before conference play. Then it's time to turn up and get this thing started. This concludes another episode of Gamecocks Talk with Captain Will. I am your man, Captain Will. Make sure you like, make sure you share, and make sure you subscribe. Don't cost anything to subscribe. Just hit that subscribe button. And also hit that like button. If you're watching me around right now, hit the like button. It helps the program grow. It helps to reach a bigger masses. You are now rocking with the best. And since you're rocking with the best, come right with your man, Captain Will. Let's go. Let's.
J-Rock did this